BTM604. So I would like everybody to watch this micro video on being a task leader as well as being a regular team member. In general, if you're the task leader, you are responsible for organizing the assignment, making sure that all of the components are submitted, and then pulling all of those components together and submitting them on behalf of your group. I will grade this one assignment on behalf of all of the members. And as the task leader, you are responsible for certain sections, which we'll go over, and then the rest of the team is responsible for other sections. I touched on this in the recorded online sync if that has already occurred. So as the task leader, and I'll say this to everyone, just because you are responsible for a certain section and the content, I encourage you, I really, really encourage you to still collaborate on all of these sections. As the task leader, one of the ways you can do this is you can draft up your sections and then make them available to the other team members in your group, one of your group tools, whether it's through your group discussion board or your group file sharing. Get their feedback, and the rest of the team, help out your task leader. If there's something you don't understand, or maybe there's a better way to approach something, make that suggestion, help each other out. So let's talk about the specifics of what you'll be doing in assignment 2. So assignment 2 is the biggest assignment. This really establishes the foundation for your user experience product design. And what I've brought up, what you see on your screen here, is the actual assignment worksheet that I want everybody to download. And like I said, I want you to take this as a template. I've created a separate file as a template for doing your assignment and submitting it. So the general deliverables I just talked about, the task leader will submit the general deliverables on behalf of the team. All right. And so specifically, the task leader is responsible in assignment 2 for sections 1 through 3, and then to pull together sections 4 through 5 from the other team members. And then there is a section 6 from the Kagan text I want everybody to work on. So some specific instructions that I give you here: go to groups, select your team, and post your draft, if you're the task leader, of sections 1 through 3 to your group's discussion board. You know what? If you want to use the file sharing thing, that's fine too. Just what I want you to do is use the resources available to your group under Blackboard to share with your team members. Put it under a thread titled Assignment 2 and make it available to the rest of the team. Once the rest of the team members have created their scenarios and claims, each team member must create a scenario and a corresponding claims analysis based on the task leader input, and you will post them to the assignment thread. And task leader, you will take their input and you will append it to the worksheet and then post it. And of course, you also have one more section, section 6. Everybody should work through, I would suggest, at the end of creating your scenarios and claims analyses, and answer those key questions that Kagan asks. It revisits a little bit of what you're doing at the front as well. Team members, I'll talk to your responsibilities in the other micro video. So the way this is laid out, okay, you will create a starting page to this worksheet. So insert a title page, and it should be titled BTM604 Class Project Assignment 2, and then tell me what your term project title is. Make sure you list all of the team members. This is really important. I want you to list all of the team members. And then what you will see in the worksheet after you do that, you have 6 different sections: the root concept, field studies, observations, summaries, and then your as-is scenarios, as-is claims analyses, and then section 6, the Kagan product development implications. Okay, so as I said earlier, every member of the team is responsible for contributing to the root concept, themes, identifying stakeholders, but the task leader is responsible for organizing, articulating, and documenting them for the assignment. The rest of the team members are responsible for initiating the as-is scenarios and claims analyses. All right? So let's take a look again. This is why it's so important to listen to the narrated slide deck too first. There is a much more comprehensive example in there where they talk about virtualizing a physical high school science fair. The high-level vision, as we've discussed, is a single grammatically correct and complete sentence. Okay, it needs to be a complete sentence, a standalone sentence, just one sentence, and that sentence should encapsulate what you are doing. You need to, so make sure you hone your idea into this one encapsulated, succinct, summarized sentence that articulates the high-level vision. So look at how they do that with the virtual science fair. Understanding the background is they are virtualizing a physical high school science fair. And then in the rationale, you can have 2, 3, 4, 5 elements of rationale. If you're tempted to say, gosh, that high-level vision sentence, I can't just put it into one sentence, you really can. Highlight all of that stuff. If you're going to say 4 or 5 or 6 sentences for your high-level vision, summarize it with one sentence, take that other explanation and put that into your rationale. So that's why I give you the rationale section. Next, you have stakeholders. So these are going to be 3 to 5 human roles. I will say this again, 3 to 5 human roles that are going to be impacted by the system. So in the example I'm using in your assignment is virtualizing a grocery store. And I mentioned maybe some of you use Giant's Peapod, and I think Safeway has their own. Maybe Safeway's Peapod. I'm not sure. We don't use them, haven't used them yet. But, in the case of a grocery store, who are your stakeholders? A shopper. Somebody who goes to the store and shops. The store manager, checkout clerk, maybe restock clerks, okay? And notice that this table is a 2-column table. First, on the left is the component. On the right is what we call the contribution to the root concept. So what are those stakeholders' contribution to the root concept? And then finally, starting assumptions. And you can have as many assumptions as you want. I would expect that you have at least 3 or 4 assumptions. You can have as many as a dozen. It's up to you. And you can talk to, well, we're going to use this technology. We're expecting they will follow these behaviors. We're expecting there's going to be novice users and expert users. Those are all examples of assumptions, and those are pretty wide open. Section 2, Field Studies Questions. This is where I wish that we had a longer class so we could actually spend a couple of times developing these, because what's critical to any new product development is understanding what your constituents who are going to be using it really want. So this is a little bit contrived. What I want you to do is come up with at least a page and a half of open-ended questions that you would ask these stakeholders with respect to the product that you are trying to put together. And then finally, observation summaries. So for each one of the stakeholders, you are going to identify some characteristics. For each stakeholder, what is their background? What are their expectations? What are their preferences? For example, for the shopper, the background is maybe they have limited time to shop and they bring a list with them and they're very specific. Maybe others are not. Expectations. What does the stakeholder expect in terms of conveniences and improvements? They expect to be able to use their coupons. They expect that things are going to be where they are in a standard fashion. They are expecting the shelves to be stocked. Preferences, all right? What would this stakeholder be comfortable with in the delivered system? Are they comfortable with Windows? Gosh, this statement is a little dated. AOL is America Online. Are they, so are they comfortable with maybe Amazon, with Amazon's Whole Foods or something like that? Do they want you to deliver the groceries or do they want pickup? Okay. So those are all characteristics of the shopper stakeholder. And you do this for each one of the stakeholders. Next is a section we call tasks. What are the basic tasks that you observe the stakeholders doing? So, 2, 3, 4 tasks for each one. For the shopper, if they're picking out produce, maybe they pick up a tomato and they observe the tomato, they squeeze the tomato and, once they choose it, they get a plastic bag, they put it in. Remember the example that we use in slide deck 2 when we talk about the accountant who opened up her spreadsheet. So some of these things, it seems like, they just happen automatically, but this is where you get a little bit detailed on what it is they're doing and maybe try to pull out some of the cognitive processing that they are doing as well. You're going to use those in your designs. And then finally, workplace themes. And sometimes these are a little bit difficult. Do the best you can. So in terms of a virtual grocery store, what are some of the themes? Well, shopping is a major theme there, right? Paying for groceries would be another theme. Looking for specific items may be another theme. So what are the themes in your project? And then finally, the problem scenarios. And we're focusing on the as is. So in the case of the virtual grocery store, the initial scenarios that will be created are based on what we have today. But I will cover that in the next micro video. And then finally in section 6, everybody comes back together to address those questions. So that is what the team leader is responsible for.